And welcome back. Well, right now I have our village CEO, Jeff Parker, and he's going to be going through what's going on here in the village and the precautions that VMS is taking. I'd like to welcome you. With all due respect, I really like you. I'm not going to shake your hand. Not that I'm worried about you, but you know what? We want to set the protocol here, right?
Absolutely.
So, of course, yesterday there was a statement was made, and we're talking about exactly sort of the parameters going on here in the village. The website's being updated, is updated frequently, so people can get information there. But before we go into some specific questions that people have sent in, just kind of give us some of the precautions and what's happening. I think the number one thing people want to know first, because of their schedules, what's open, what's not open, our clubs meeting, and that sort of thing.
Okay, let's start off with how we got here.
Yeah.
Obviously, the coronavirus is showing more and more signs in California. So the governor declared the other day that every organization basically in California should limit their access to 250 people meeting in any one area. But with that, he also indicated that he wanted to promote and execute that groups that are at risk, which are anybody over the age of 60 or anybody that has a health condition that is very susceptible to this virus, that they limit that to 10 people. Based on that, no larger group than 10. Based on that, we had an emergency meeting in which we pulled our staff together and then met with the board of directors at a meeting, and then along with that, the presidents, and we moved forward with what we call phase one of our plan.
Right.
And that was to, in our opinion, recommending that we shut down all of our GRF facilities, all of our community centers. And the reason for that is that we oftentimes have large groups meeting there, and we didn't want to put our community at risk with regards to that. So as of 5 o'clock last night, the community centers are closed at this point in time, other than this actual community centers for individuals coming into resident services. They can walk,
all right, that's a good point that
they can walk in and still do their business at resident services on the first floor.
Okay, all right. That's the one thing I wanted to ask about.
Sure.
Because we even had somebody who works here who came in today and people were questioning, why are you here? But that's good to know. But all clubhouses and club activities in those clubhouses have been canceled.
Have been canceled, postponed. The exception to that are our outside activities.
Okay.
Golf, tennis, pickleball as an example, and swimming. The only building that is going to be operating at what I'll call as norm will be Clubhouse 19. It's the restaurant.
Okay.
It's a contractual agreement with a restaurateur, and they will be in operation. We are asking them to limit any large groups or having any kind of social events that have anything larger than normal. But at this point in time, we're saying to our individuals in the community, be careful, be cognizant of what's going on out there, and if you don't have to go, don't go.
Okay. Now, what about, I don't know if you can answer this at this point, but any events that Recreation has set up? For instance, you know, we've been announcing like in a couple of weeks they're going to have that luau dinner. Now that is, I think it was scheduled for April 1st, if I'm not mistaken. At this point in time, are you giving what we're just looking at a certain few weeks at this point and extend it if needed, or?
It's a great question. We actually recommended and put into place a 30-day moratorium for activities. And we're going to be reassessing on a week-by-week basis. So if things get better, we certainly can move to a more open system. But if not, we're going to evaluate for sure and make a decision in 30 days whether or not we're going to continue this.
Okay, but at this point in time, those type of things,
30 days.
30 days. And the other question I have, I know there are some clubs here that meet in people's homes now and then. Is that's up to them?
That's up to them.
Okay.
If they're meeting, again, what we're telling our residents and all our information that we're getting out to them is the smaller the group activity, the better. Stay in your home as much as possible. That is the best health information that we're getting from the Orange County Health Department, which you had a member here yesterday speaking about that.
All right. One other question before we get into these questions. I'm going to ask one as far as staff goes. And I don't know if you folks have sat down and talked about this. At what point do you not want staff here? Now, let's first talk about individuals. if a staff member thinks they might have just a simple cold, you know, they got the sniffles, where normally they'd probably come into work. At this point, do you have any official recommendation, or you're still evaluating
Yeah,
that?
we've met with all of our department heads and
Okay.
recommended that in cases where you're seeing an individual who has symptoms of a cold or especially a flu, ask that individual to go home.
Okay.
Recommend that they stay home until they have no fever, especially.
Got it. Okay.
And if it's just a cold and they're not running a fever, try to get over that cold before you come back. And it's just a precautionary point of view. And we'll make sure that we have it adequately staffed for the operation.
Okay, and that's a good point, because as we've been hearing really throughout the country, that for some people who may or may not have some, you know, the coronavirus, their symptoms are less than a normal cold. You know, it's almost asymptomatic. However, they're a carrier. So, okay, yeah,
It's something that we need to be careful about.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's why I
absolutely.
wanted to ask you that. Now, residents have been questioning, put in some questions, and you can do that at info@lagunawoodsvillage.com. I'm not going to name the people, which I'm sure you wouldn't want me to, but let's just kind of go through these. First of all, you did say outdoor centers. So what about garden centers and things like that?
Any activity that's outdoors is okay. And
Okay.
we want to actually, in a lot of ways, walking on your own, getting outside is a good thing.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we want to encourage you to do that. Again, just not in large groups.
Right, okay. Now this one you already answered. Somebody asked about Restaurant 19, and they have a luncheon that's going on there today.
That'll be okay.
That'll be okay.
And we won't take any other action with regards to that operation unless it gets more severe with regards to the direction we get from Orange County Health or the state.
Okay, here's one. The library, will that be open?
No, it is going to also
Okay.
be closed, just as like all the community centers.
Okay, and you did already talk about, this question was about classes being held, and like in this case, somebody asked about the Pine Room, but all those have been canceled.
Correct.
Okay, and I'm just going to go through these,
that's
even though
fine.
if we talked about them. Now here's a very important one, the emeritus classes.
Yes, we've already been in contact with the Emeritus program, letting them know that we're canceling today's programs. And luckily, in one way, they're going on spring break next week.
Yeah.
And so we're going to continue to evaluate, just as I said, the 30 days. But they know of our 30-day program right now. We won't be having anything until that time expires, and we're comfortable that we can continue.
And obviously, that would include their speakers that they have this time of the year every Friday in the Performing Arts
Correct.
Center. Okay. And I would, for those of you who maybe take regular Saddleback classes or emeritus classes outside of here, look at their website. I would assuming they're following what everyone else is doing.
You can see it throughout the communities that they're closing operations. We haven't heard specifically that they're closing theirs, but if everybody stays in line, you're going to see more and more closures of facilities.
Right. Yeah, I know our school district, my daughter went to school today, we're Saddleback Unified. My wife is a teacher there. And at this point this morning, they're still open. My wife is actually having a meeting at the district, like she does every once a Friday a month, and but we're expecting them to close. And of course, my daughter is thrilled about that. So she is. All right. Will meals continue in the senior center? You know what? This is, when I look at this, this is really for the Florence Sylvester Senior Center.
It is. So
now, they were here on Wednesday, and at that point, they were still having their luncheons. Have you heard any different?
I have not,
Okay.
and they should contact them directly to get that information.
Okay, yeah, definitely do that. I believe their number off the top of my head is 380-0155, but you can go online to Florence Sylvester. I would assume that they're not. They're very precautious over there. So we'll put that one aside, and I'll get that information. We already know about the Performing Arts Center, at least for 30 days.
Correct.
And, you know, you'll come on another time and talk about the status of what's going to be happening with the Performing Arts Center.
Correct.
So we don't know a firm date on that yet, or do we?
No,
Or if you don't want to talk,
we're still shooting for May as the time for we're going to get into the renovation. The
Okay.
bids are out. We haven't received all the bids, so once we open the bids up, then we want to get going on it.
Okay, so it's possibly, we'll see what happens. The Performing Arts Center could be closed from now on to the end of the year,
for a
just
while,
depending.
yes.
Okay, we'll get more updates
Sure,
on that. Separate
absolutely.
subject, but still,
Great
people
idea.
want to know if they can reschedule things. in this one. Okay, now here's this is a question I think I would ask of my association. Does this mean there will be a refund coming to the monthly dues?
No decision's been made on that at this point in time. Obviously, we're looking this at a very short-term period of only 30 days,
Right.
and we hope that's all that's going to be.
Okay.
So the refund concept, although it's been talked about a little bit, there's no been any final decision made by GRF or any of the mutuals recommending to GRF on how it would handle that.
Okay, but a very valid question.
It's a valid question.
Services, a lot of them will be closed, and we'll see what happens with that. Very true. Okay, very important one. At this point, any reported cases that you know of as of right now?
None in the village reported cases that we know of, and as far as I know, only 6 in Orange County at this point in time, which is very low compared to other counties in California.
It is.
So we'll knock on wood and keep that going because it's important that if these activities such as Disneyland closing, us closing, all of these operations that are closing their facilities can lower the threshold of this spreading, the more successful we'll be.
Yeah. Now here's a question I think is also, why are the swimming pools still open? And this person is saying in their question, water carries both, can harbor viruses and bacteria.
When we talked to the Orange County Health, we asked them about that, and at this point in time, we thought it was still an outdoor activity that would be beneficial for our community to keep open. We have a lot of swimmers, and we wanted to keep that physical activity going at this point in time. If we get any additional information from the California Department of Health or Orange County Health, we would potentially take a different route on that one, but at this time we're keeping it open.
And of course, people can make their own decision.
Sure.
The pools are open at this point.
Yeah, we don't recommend anybody going down there that's sick.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all the time, folks, not just right now. Because I know in the past you've mentioned and other folks have mentioned, you know, if you're just in a normal time, if you're not got a cold, if you're sick, people in this community are susceptible even more to those type of things.
Right.
Stay away from activities and all. That's, you know, all year.
Well said.
All right, and again, this was kind of the same question about the pools. So in general right now, people can go online and get this information, and updates will be made accordingly.
Right, and we're going to keep ongoing updates with regards to information that we're getting from both the state and Orange County Health with regards to the coronavirus, so that'll be on our website. We have a special button right there, and when you come on the website, coronavirus, you can click that and get that information.
There we are, right there.
And so that's great. I think we want to be as informed as we can with our community and get the information out there. We just encourage you to follow the recommendations, stay home, don't get out there unless you really need to.
Right.
One of the things I did want to mention, and wasn't a question, our transportation program is still going to continue.
Okay.
Because we know that that's an important resource for our residents to get to shops and to get to stores and get their needs.
Yeah.
So our transportation program will continue to run.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeff. Always good to see you.
Good to see you.
As usual. Hope I see you again soon under better circumstances. But I know that if need be, you'll pop back on here and give us any important updates.
Absolutely.
So I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very much.